Hello people and welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Deep Roy Chaudhary and I'm just a normal guy who talks about stuff that seems interesting and important to me. And today I'm going to talk about the fact that as people are leaving the big cities for various reasons and moving to smaller towns because of higher, for whatever reasons people are leaving the big cities, the real let's say one of the things that we don't consider before moving to a smaller town is basically that there are a lot of things that we take for granted in a big city. For example, better transportation facilities, better even better internet connectivity. I mean, better internet connectivity, a lot of a host of other things that you take for granted in a big city, but you don't see that in small towns, and you don't get those same amenities that you can find in a big city. You don't get those same amenities, and that is a point for consideration, because a lot of people might have this dreamy notion that you would go to you would leave the big city and just go to a small town that is just going to be some kind of paradise where there wouldn't be a lot of pollution, there wouldn't be traffic jams, there wouldn't be overpopulated there wouldn't be overpopulation, there wouldn't be the housing costs wouldn't be that high. I'm pretty sure that you have these notions, and some of these notions are actually true. Their housing costs are lower in small towns. The what to say um, housing costs are lower, and yes, there are less traffic jams in small towns. But as more and more people move to the smaller towns for a small town life or for a small city life, the big cities are going to lose. If the big cities lose a huge number of people, and these people then flock to a few small cities or small towns, then those small cities and small towns are also going to balloon up and are also going to become, or maybe not as big as the big cities, but still much bigger than they used to be. And then as the population of a small city or a small town increases, the same kind of problems that you had in a big city, that in the first place, that you were trying to avoid by getting away from the big city in the first place, you would find those same problems in the small town that you have moved to, because of the rising population. Because as more and more people move to a small town, the housing costs are going to skyrocket. And then then you would be wondering what was the point of moving to the small town in the first place. Because if the housing costs are get high even in the small town, then why not just continue to live in the big cities where the housing costs may be much higher than the small towns, but the amenities and the advantages and the job opportunities of living in a big city are still greater, even than a small, even compared to a small town which might experience a certain increase in population. So even a small town, even with a certain increase in population, does not, I don't think it would necessarily increase or maybe it would increase the job opportunities to some extent, but at the end of the day, the same problems that you were trying to escape in a big city, you would see the same problems crop up in a small town. For example, rising population. For example, rising housing costs. For example, rising pollution. As more and more people would flock to a smaller town, they would also have cars. They would also be driving their cars, and more, and you might encounter a traffic jam even in a small town, even in a small city, because it's this is. It is not necessary that traffic jams are a typical characteristic of only the big cities. You can find those same kind of problems in small towns as well. It is not higher pollution levels can also be found in certain small towns, in certain small cities. So what was the point of going to a small city, of leaving the big city in the first place? Because if you don't get if you don't get a better environment, a better deal as far as housing costs are concerned, if you don't get a better deal as far as um, communities are concerned, because a lot of people do complain that that there is no sense of community in a city life. If you are living in an apartment in a city, a lot of people don't seem to know each other properly, and they are basically they might be living on top of each other, or they might be living just beside each other, but they might not know each other. They might not even talk to each other in a city. So that is a complaint that most often people in the city have, and for valid reason as well. I have seen that happen, but not always. Not all people in the cities are devoid of a social life. And I mean, there are. I have also seen people living in big cities where people are enjoying their lives and they have good relations with their neighbors, and they are they are very social people, and it is not necessary. It is not given that if you live in a city, you are always going to have a boring life devoid of any friends. And if you move to a small town, it is not necessary that it's not necessary that you are going to, or it is not true that you would automatically get a huge social, you would be able to socialize with a lot of people. It is not necessary that you would be able to socialize with a lot of people even in a small town. That is not necessary. Although the sense of community that people have in a small town is much greater. I have heard that, but the experience of living in a small town or living in a big city is not going to be the same for each and every person. More on this in the next video. Until then, please consider liking this video, please consider sharing this video with your friends and acquaintances, and please consider subscribing to my channel. That would help me a lot. Until the next video, stay safe, goodbye, and God bless you.